You rejoin us in Bahrain for the sprint race, the third of the 2016-17 FF2M Asia series, and it's been an interesting series so far with 4 different winners in the first 5 races, the latest one being Genjo Se, who very convincingly won the feature race, even running the slower hard tyres, and he won by nearly 20 seconds from series 1 off, Sebastian Buemi deputising for Chuck Bucknam in the OLM racing team. Good performance from Buemi actually, because he'd started in the back end of the top 10 and worked his way through the field on the softer rubber. Well, he'll be on the hards for the sprint race, as will Danny Kvyat and Pascal Wehrlein and Pierre Gasly, all of which finished in the top 8. And as for what was left of the top 8, well, in 4th place was Alexander Albon, and he was on the hard tyres as well, so that was an impressive performance. And then it was Esteban Ocon. He'll be running softs for this sprint race, as will Benjamin Pryor and Genjo Se. Genjo Se will be starting 8th. There's a look at the circuit, and as mentioned in the previous instalment of FF2M Asia, 4 long straights, all proposing decent overtaking opportunities into their preceding corners. Turn 1, Turn 4, Turn 11, and Turn 14. So a look at the grid, and because he finished 8th in the feature race, Pascal Wehrlein starts from pole position ahead of Benjamin Pryor, Esteban Ocon 3rd ahead of Pierre Gasly in 4th, Pryor and Ocon on softs for the sprint race. Alexander Albon, also on the soft tyres, starts 5th ahead of Danny Kvyat. Sebastian Buemi starts 7th ahead of Genjo Se, feature race winner. And then the rest of the grid is as they were when they finished the feature race. So Charles Leclerc 9th ahead of Sergei Sirotkin 10th, Mitch Evans 11th ahead of Nikita Mazepin 12th, then it's Antonio Giovinazzi 13th ahead of Callum Ilott 14th in that Monolith Racing System team. Nick De Vries had a very messy race in the feature, and he starts 15th ahead of George Russell, who once again hasn't had the best luck this season. Lucas Auer 17th ahead of Pietro Fittipaldi 18th, then Jack Aitken 19th ahead of Lance Stroll 20th, and then the back row filled by Santino Ferrucci and Itsuki Yoshida, who's not had the best return to FF2M since his departure from FF1M. So, we're in the daytime this time for the sprint race, and the 5 lights go on and go out as Pascal Wehrlein drives away from pole position. Looked like a decent start from him, all getting away fairly evenly in the top 4. But what's going to happen as we go into the first corner? Well, at the inside it's Esteban Ocon, who takes both Pryor and Wehrlein and takes the lead of the race going through the first hairpin. And as mentioned, he is on the soft, so he's going to be very, very tricky to beat. Pryor holds on to 3rd ahead of Pierre Gasly, and Alexander Albon looking to challenge said Gasly going into the turn 4 corner. And look at that, going up the inside of both of them is Genjo Se on the exit and taking 4th place. Great start from the Chinese driver, and Pierre Gasly not such a good start. Now he's under pressure from Daniel Kvyat, as at the back George Russell running last as he had an incident. He has indeed been tagged round by one of the OLM drivers. That could well be, must be Buemi's teammate, whoever Buemi's teammate is. Can't remember. As Lance Stroll looking up the inside of, who is that? Is that Santino Ferrucci making contact with the American and putting him into a spin? That was a rude overtake by Lance Stroll. Meanwhile, Benjamin Pryor up the inside and making contact with... that was nearly a big calamity with Genjo Se, but making contact with Pascal Wehrlein and ruining the Germans' race in the process. But it's Esteban Ocon leading now this battle for second between Albon and Se across the start-finish line. And it's Alexander Albon who takes 2nd place. And look at this kerfuffle between Buemi. There's Callum Ilott in there, who's made his way up through the field nicely and is up into 5th place. That incident between Pryor and Wehrlein costing Pryor a few places, and Wehrlein all the way down to last. Now Pryor's going to try and fight his way back up the order. He's looking to challenge Kvyat, but there's a med sign on the outside of him. Who is that? That's Mitch Evans. Be careful, Pryor, because you've been compromised, and it was your own fault. Now then, Genjo Se not letting Albon get away, and this is going into turn 11. Albon feeling the need to defend his position, and rounding the exit of 11 into the flat-out turn 12 before turn 13, which is a fairly quick medium corner. It tightens a bit on the apex, then opens up a little bit at the exit, but Genjose has got a good run on Alexander Albon going down the final back straight. Albon not defending that one. We've seen contact here already in the sprint race, and Albon very sensibly allowing Genjose through into second place, but now he's got the slipstream down the start-finish straight, and look at this closing, and up the inside now goes Albon. Can he outbrake the Chinese driver, the GRM junior driver, into the first corner? He can indeed. So back up to second place goes Alexander Albon. And all of this is allowing Esteban Ocon to get away. Can he make it 3 sprint race wins out of 3 sprint races? It looks very likely now. And still this battle for second continues between Albon and Say, and this might allow Pierre Gasly to close up to these two. Gasly running in 4th place on the hard tyres. Ilott in 5th. On the soft tyres as well, so good performance from him. Now, Hitsuki Yoshida versus Nikita Mazepin going into 11, contact very early, and that 2 spins now. It wasn't as simple as it looked, because it looks as if Yoshida did, it was a tight one up the inside, and normally you've got to be a bit careful when going up the inside, but Mazepin just turned in on him, so bit of a silly incident between those two, and back to the battle for second. Genjose this time going up the inside of Alexander Albon. Into second place goes the Chinese driver. Now, Genjose has got a little bit of a gap already over Albon, so you're going to try and pull away, as Giovinazzi in front of this lot. That was Giovinazzi and Stroll and Aitken, but that is Sergei Sorokin getting past Pietro Fittipaldi despite running the harder tyres. And up a position goes the Russian driver. Now then, Lance Stroll versus Antonio Giovinazzi, as George Russell recovering and making his way past... Who is he just overtaken? Jack Aitken, that's the other OLM driver. Now then, back to the other OLM, Sebastian Buemi versus Benjamin Pryor into the final corner, and Pryor's made a mess of that once again, and he's going to be plummeting down the order if he's not careful, but he's dropped down to 10th. Now, he's going to try and get ahead of Charles Leclerc, back ahead of Charles Leclerc, but not been one of Benjamin Pryor's best races, and certainly on the soft tyres he's squandered a good result for STV Racing. So let's focus on Sebastian Buemi versus Mitch Evans for 6th place. Evans running on softs, as is Evans' teammate Callum Ilott, so we've got both Medsign 7s in the top 6 at the moment, but Sebastian Buemi, despite running the hard tyres, is looking to do something about that. And behind Buemi is the Gajera 2 driver of Daniel Kvyat. Now then, we've got Antonio Giovinazzi, who has cleared himself of Lance Stroll, and he's going down the outside of Nick De Vries, going down the main straight into the first corner. That's unconventional, Antonio, but you've done it, and you're up into 12th place. His next target is Lucas Auer in the Shake and Bake Junior. We've seen one Shake and Bake Junior get involved into an incident. Yoshida versus Mazepin into turn 11. Now, is this Buemi versus Evans into the first corner? It is, and Sebastian Buemi taking 6th place in the final point. Now, can he... It's very unlikely that he'll do something about Callum Ilott, who's hanging on to Pierre Gasly. It's been an impressive drive from Ilott, even accounting for the fact that he's on the soft tyres. Now then, Benjamin Pryor, here we go again. This time it's versus Daniel Kvyat into the final corner, and Pryor barges his way past but runs wide in the process, and Kvyat retakes that position. So 3 out of 3, and all 3 times it's gone wrong for Pryor somehow. What's this? Nikita Mazepin now. This is up against... This is Pietro Fittipaldi, and... Oh, dearie me. Well, Mazepin just didn't bother going up the inside. He just decided to ram the back of Pietro Fittipaldi. And as a result, they both dropped down to the rear of the field. But at the front, it's been another good drive from Esteban Ocon. Even though Genjose can see him in the background closing in on him, he has been the quicker driver, but Ocon had the much bigger lead to play with, and as a result, Esteban Ocon will be taking his 3rd sprint race win of the season and cements himself at the top of the championship. Genjose coming home in 2nd, a very, very good meeting for Genjose. Win in the feature race and a 2nd in the sprint. And a 3rd place for Alexander Albon. That is his and Medsign 7's first ever podium finish. So, well done to them in their first ever season. As for the rest of the top 6, it consists of Pierre Gasly hanging on to 4th place despite the hard tyres, and Callum Ilott, good drive from him, up to 5th, and then completing the points is Sebastian Buemi in 6th. Then you've got the rest of the top 11 you can see there. Mitch Evans 7th, and Benjamin Pryor, after a messy race for the Welshman, somehow manages to hold on to 8th place. And then Lucas Auer and Antonio Giovinazzi completing the top 10. Both STV Racings in the top 10, but in a sprint race you only get points for the top 6, so they'll definitely be slipping behind Spaniel in the Teams Championship. And as for the rest of them, well, all 22 drivers finished despite the number of contacts for some drivers such as Benjamin Pryor, Pascal Wehrlein and in particular Nikita Mazepin, having had 2 incidents with Itsuki Yoshida and then later on with Pietro Fittipaldi. Both liquid targets in the bottom 3. So what does that result do for the Drivers' Championship? Well, it will be Esteban Ocon now holding a 3-point lead over Pierre Gasly, still 2 Frenchmen at the top, and then it's a Chinese driver in 3rd in the form of Genjo Se. Very, very good meeting for him, as mentioned before. Now, who did get the fastest lap in that? I'll have to double check that, but it's Charles Leclerc 4th in the championship ahead of Chuck Bucknam and Benjamin Pryor. So Chuck Bucknam, despite missing the Bahrain meeting, is in 5th in the championship, so he's still in with a shot in the final 3 meetings. And I've just received word that it was actually Lance Stroll in the other Spaniel that set the fastest lap of the race. And as for the Teams Championship, well, Spaniel do indeed move ahead of STV Racing, but it's still Willows Jr. at the top, 42 points to Spaniel's 30, and fairly close in the upper echelons of the midfield. Spaniel 30, then all the way down to Gajera 2 on 20 points, just 10 points separating 5 teams there. And once again, Liquid Target yet to score a point. And that concludes the Bahrain Grand Prix Circuit meeting of FF2M Asia. We'll be heading over to a standalone meeting in the United Arab Emirates, specifically Dubai. So, we shall see you for then.